Associate Product Manager here at Google, and I work on the team that built Google Maps for Android Wear. So today I'm going to show you a bit about how you can use your Android Wear smartwatch to help you get around during the day.
I may salivate somewhat.
It's quite a nice display, isn't it? Feel free to have a closer look at the watches too if you like. So Android today is about a lot more than just the smartphone in your pocket. It's about how your phone interacts with all of the objects in your house, your car, and your Android Wear smartwatch. Android Wear, just like Android itself, is an open platform which allows manufacturers to create unique and individual devices, so you have a lot of variety and options. Here's some of the ones we have here. There's ones by LG, Asus, Motorola, and Huawei, and there's many more manufacturers as well. You're able to customize different things on the watch, like the watch face, so you can change it depending on what you're wearing or what style you feel like having. So today I'm going to do a demo for you. It's of, say, a scenario where you're at work, you get a message, and you want to go out for dinner afterwards. So if you want to come and have a look at my watch here. So this is a Motorola watch. Okay, so say I get a message, sorry, I have some nav running. Say I get a message from Johnny asking if I'd like to get some French for dinner tonight. Let's send a reply. So I can send a reply using voice on my watch. So, okay Google, oops, it's just out a little. Okay Google, send sounds great to Johnny. So now it's looked up Johnny in my contacts and it's sending the message that I said to him. And I was able to do that all through voice with my phone still in my pocket. If you haven't used voice in a while, you might be surprised actually at how much better it's gotten recently.
I found also in noisier environments it's improved a lot. The noise discrimination is really good now.
Yeah, well this thing here is actually quite loud, and when I put the watch on the table...
Vibrations too.
Yeah. But it's been doing quite well with that too. So yeah, it's a lot better with natural language now, so you don't have to use keywords or things like that anymore. You can just talk like you're talking to a regular person, and it picks up on what you're trying to say. So now we need to find a place to go for dinner, so I can do that from my watch once again. So, okay Google, show me the best French restaurants in Sydney. So another trick as well, if you're having trouble with the background noise, is you can just tap on what you've said and it'll stop trying to listen. So here I've done that search now and it's coming up with some results for me. It's showing me their ratings, where they are, and the phone numbers for them. And I can also swipe to the left to see times and when they're open. So let's say I want to go to Le Pelican in Surrey Hills, since I know that it's a close enough walk. I can do that. But first, say I want to go home and get changed. If I have Google Now on my phone, I can swipe up through the cards on my watch, and I'll be able to see how long it's going to take me to get home from here. And it knows that I cycle to work, so it shows me how long the cycling distance is, which is really useful. So now, say I'm home and I need walking directions to dinner. I can launch that from my watch as well. So I say, okay Google, walking directions to Le Pelican in Surrey Hills. Here we go. So it's given me some options here. I can see that the one I want came up first on the list, so I just tap that, and now it's starting in walking mode since that's what I asked for, towards Le Pelican. Once that is done, I'll get the full turn-by-turn navigation right on my watch without having to have my phone out. So as you can see, I get the polyline, which tells me which direction to head in. I can swipe up to see the full turn list, so I know what things I'll need to do in the future. And at any point in my journey, I can swipe to the left to see my ETA, how far off I am, and also the destination that I'm going to. So that's really useful when I'm walking to make sure that I'm going fast enough and that I'm not going to be late.
How do you find too? I mean, I notice being a woman, having smaller wrists, I mean, I'm not big wrists either, but smaller wrists, do you find wearing a smartwatch with just that little bit of extra bulk sort of is a barrier to adopting smartwatches?
I really like the watches. There's definitely some that are really great for smaller wrists. So this one, for example, as it wraps underneath, it's really comfortable for me to wear. And there's lots of different types, so you're able to find something for every wrist size. Okay, so say now you're at the restaurant and the whole menu's in French. We can now use the Translate app to help us to do this situation. So you can launch apps 2 ways. You can swipe to the left and use the app launcher, which will put your recent ones at the top, or else if you'd rather, you can use your voice to launch it too. So say I use the voice. Okay, Google, open Translate. So now it's launched the Translate app, which has bidirectional language translation. So you don't need to switch between English and French or English and another language. You can select any language on either side and it will know which one you're speaking based on what you say. So say I see a menu item that I want to translate into English. I can just pick up my watch and say it, and then it'll know what language I'm speaking. So, soupe de poisson. And there it's translated for me that that menu item was fish soup. So say I don't want to order that, but I do want to ask the waiter for a glass of water, and perhaps he only speaks French. Now I can use it to translate English to French so that I'm able to communicate with him. So all I do is tap the voice button again. Could I please have a glass of water? And now that's translated that to French. The reason why Translate is one of my favorite apps is this next feature. So when my watch is on this angle, it knows that it's on my wrist, which is most likely I'm looking at it, right? But then if I tilt my watch this way, it's a little bit, I'm not too sure why. This has been working for me all day. It's getting stage fright. I'm just gonna relaunch the app as I think it might have dropped my phone. Could I please have a glass of water? So it's done the translation, and now as you can see, if this were on my wrist showing to someone else, they would be able to read the French right off my hand. So if I'm not able to say something in another language, I can still show it to someone else. So this is quite nice for the situation of being at a French restaurant in Sydney, but imagine it for when you're in a different country and you don't speak the language. It's a lot easier communicating with people and having these conversations without having to have your phone out and be typing into it the whole time.
Just make sure you have a good local data plan.
Yeah.
Well, the phones, a lot of the watches now supporting Wi-Fi, right? So you don't actually necessarily need to have a phone if you don't want. Is that right?
I'll just check. I'm not entirely sure. Do you know, Shane?
Yeah, I think Wi-Fi support is part of a lot of watches now as well.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the Translate demo for the restaurant. I can tell you too a lot more about maps since that's what we built here in Australia. So we built a lot of features like turn-by-turn navigation and panning on the maps right here in Sydney. My favorite feature with maps on Android Wear is the walking navigation. So when I was in Zurich a couple of weeks ago, I was using Walking Nav to get around, and I really loved that I was able to keep looking at the buildings and the scenery and not have to be constantly looking down checking if I was on track. Instead, I got a nice buzz every time I came up to a point where I needed to make a decision, like a turn, and things like that, so I was able to glance down at my watch and know that it was time to turn left or right, which meant that I was able to actually be more focused on where I was instead. So that's it for my demo. Feel free to take a look at the watches. We have a lot of here.
Huawei, LG, GFA, Moto 360. Quite a lot of them here. There are 10 I think in total now.
So much bling.
And the great thing too is you can change the watch face, as I'm sure you guys know, just one whole thing, and then choose the watch face that you want to match the day.
Have you used Facer at all?
No, I haven't.
Facer? It's really cool. You just design your own watch faces. No coding.
Yeah, I've used Facer. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
A huge community now too. It's amazing, you know. It's
A lot of faces that would be breaching copyright, but
yeah.
we don't mention this. So how soon before we get Androids like this? These ones over here. To pass the Void Kampf test.
Would it fit in your wrist?
Thank you.
Thank you.